Namaskar and greetings to all of you. I would have liked very much to be at this function today. One, because of my deep regard for Professor Arvind Panagariya, and two, since his most recent work, the Nehru Development Model, is of particular interest to me. In 1947, John Foster Dulles famously declared, I quote, "In India, Soviet communism exercises a strong influence through the interim Hindu government," unquote. He, of course, could not have been more wrong about ascribing that adjective to the then government. But more relevant, this was an assertion that for decades was treated as a geopolitical overreaction of American policymakers to an independent India. I myself was schooled to believe this as I first studied and then practiced international relations. But over the years, I have often asked myself whether Dulles was altogether wrong on this matter. And in Professor Panagariya's book, I found a substantial answer to that concern. Now, we all know that there was a strong ideological drive to advance a particular economic model for an India that had just gained its freedom. The belief which propelled it was modulated from time to time, but never fundamentally changed. Its root cause was an analysis that the only counter to imperialism lay in socialism. Not just in general terms, but one particular paradigm that was centered around heavy industry. For that reason, the author actually characterized it as a Nehru Development Model. Now, this may have worked for the USSR, or at least it appeared to do so then. The problem was that India was not the USSR. In effect, Professor Panagariya suggests that Nehru's choices set India on a deterministic path. The model and its accompanying narratives permeated our politics, the bureaucracy, of course the planning system, the judiciary, the public space including the media, and most of all, teaching. Think about it. Both Russia and China today unambiguously reject the economic assumptions of that period, which they did more than anyone else to propagate. Yet, these very beliefs appear to live on with influential sections of our country, even today. Certainly, after 2014, there has been a vigorous effort towards course correction, but the author does assert, I think with good reason, that it still remains an uphill task. A Nehru Development Model inevitably produced a Nehru foreign policy. We seek to correct that abroad, just as we try to reform the consequences of the model at home. In fact, the resistance to one is based on an attachment to the other. In my view, the two need to be tackled as an integral whole. The paradox, however, is that for more than 3 decades now, there's actually been a national consensus that this development model eventually failed the country. Yet, there is a reluctance to confidently explore alternatives. As a result, we usually end up doing the reforms we must, rarely the reforms we should. Professor Panagariya is an ardent advocate of an open economy. I bring that up because this particular development model essentially negated it. There is no question that India has benefited from greater openness in the last 33 years. But the situation today is very much more complex than before. We live in an era of weaponized economics, one that throws up questions as to what exactly we are exposing abroad and to whom. This is aggravated by increasingly technology-centric growth and high sensitivity to data. The key concepts, therefore, today are less of openness and more of resiliency, reliability, redundancy, and I would say even of trust. In the debates that understandably take place in this domain, perhaps openness with caution is a recommended approach. This volume also raises a related issue of conceptual openness. It is essential to have a sound grasp of international affairs. I think there can be no two opinions on that. But transporting mechanically concepts and ideologies, as this book suggests, also comes with a cost. Atmanirbharta should not be taken as a synonym for protectionism. It is actually a call to think and to act for ourselves as much as it is to ensure national security. I thank you all for your attention and I congratulate Professor Panagariya on this valuable endeavor.